Muhlenberg Township Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022 to order. All please rise for a pledge of the flag and please remain standing for a memorial moment.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment for Robert Walker, who passed away on January 19, 2022. Robert was a member of the Muhlenberg Township Fire and Rescue and was an active member of the fire service for 47 years. Thank you. For the minutes, we go into executive session. Now we go to tonight's meeting. There is no public presentation at this time. We'll open up for the first public portion, time for residents and taxpayers to comment on matters of concerns, action, or deliberation, which may or may not be before the board. We just ask that you please address the board and allow them to respond, and that the audience allow the person presenting to get their presentation. So first on the list is Judy Zettlemore at 629 Euclid Avenue.
Good evening. I know that you Board of Commissioners have a very big priority and you take it very seriously about keeping the township safe. That is not just with police, but also with fire. A week ago tomorrow, the house across the street from us was on fire. Now, we were not home when it happened. I don't know what time it was reported. I don't know what time engines arrived. I turned off of Kutztown Road onto Euclid, and when I got to the bend, I noticed, oops, can't get through. So went down the alley, got out of the car, and noticed that there was a huge fire truck in front of our house. So I went out to look, thinking, oh, better not be ours, and it wasn't. The fire truck was Brandon's ladder truck, and it was so big, it was parked diagonally across Euclid Avenue, and the ladder was up on the roof. And then I looked around, people were out and talking and asking questions and so forth. And then I looked around, and there's 9 fire trucks there. Fire trucks from Muhlenberg, Leesport, Blandon, Fleetwood, Spring Township, and Laurelville. There were a lot of firemen, and of course their jackets have what company they're from. A lot from Fleetwood, a lot from Blandon, and I didn't see that many from Muhlenberg. But there was also a fire truck behind the house, because if you look at Temple's Facebook page, and you can see the back, there was a lot more damage to the back of the house than there was to the front. But seeing that many fire trucks, and then all the gossip on the street has been, how many fire trucks does Muhlenberg have? I don't know. I don't know how many are in each one of the 3 fire houses. Well, how come there's 9 fire trucks here? 2 from Muhlenberg? I don't know. So then the what is that Muhlenberg does not have enough firemen in order to man a fire truck and get a fire truck out of the firehouse. And that's why we get all this help from the other fire companies. I don't know if that's true or not, but I just want you to be aware of the scuttlebutt that's going on, because I know your priority is to keep us safe, be it a fire, police, whatever. But I just thought you should know what's being said, the number of fire trucks there. And in fact, somebody knows how many from each company because they counted coats. I didn't bother to do that. Who cares, as long as the fire got out.
I could just say something here. Judy, you know, why is there so many fire trucks there? It's mutual aid, you know. And do we have a problem sometimes with Muhlenberg getting some trucks out? Yes. So does every other fire department, unless they're paid. You know, these people are volunteers, and, you know, they get a stipend at the end of the year. It's not a lot of money, but, you know, I look at these volunteers and I bless them, because at 2 in the morning, when I'm sleeping, they're going out to a fire. Now, sometimes we can't man a truck. It happens, and that's why we have mutual aid with all the other fire departments. I complained many times, and I used to keep a regular count of it. We went to Muhlenberg Township one time, around 100 times, and they came to Muhlenberg once or twice. That happens. I mean, that's mutual aid. And until, and I'll say this for the county, until the county, I think, takes some control here. I mean, there's a lot of municipalities that don't pull their own weight. I mean, we have a fire tax here in Muhlenberg. There are some municipalities that don't have any fire tax. We try to give our guys as much as we can and stay within our budget. You know, but we have good firefighters here. Do we have enough? Statewide, we don't have enough volunteers. The volunteer fire departments are dying out because used to be the grandfather was a fireman, the son was a fireman, the grandson was a fireman. And we still have those guys at Temple where the grandson's a fireman, you know, but at this point, everybody's doing their own thing and they're not getting back through the fire departments. And it's something I think big government has to take a look at, because, you know, we can't always rely on people to leave their house. I know a guy that came back from Disney. He was at the Reading Airport. The fire alarm went off. He left his wife and kids, and he went to a fire. I mean, that's the dedication that I have seen in the last couple of years of the fire department. Now, we've had some issues, and I'll be the first one to admit it. We had a fire chief in the back who brought such his concerns to me. You know, but why is there so many different departments there? It's mutual aid, and the county, when that alarm goes off, they're looking for departments that can bring a unit to that particular fire. And I'm glad, evidently, that they put the fire out across from their house, and that's what mutual aid is all about.
I just wanted you to be aware of what's, and maybe in one of the upcoming Muhlenberg newsletters, something would be put in that would just kind of cool that, just what you just said now.
No, there was something in the last newsletter. In fact, I put something in for people who want to volunteer to be fire police, because we don't have enough fire police. When there's a fire, we need people to protect the firefighters, and so that other cars aren't going down and hitting a gentleman who's trying to pull a hose across the street or something, you know. And I haven't heard of any of the responses. People aren't volunteering, which I think more unfortunately.
Size and type also come into play too. I mean, structural fires, you know, and brush fires are different types. And, you know, it's good to hear that for once that we're getting some help from other fire departments, and our guys might have been somewhere else taking care of other fires. So
Mark was the chief of Temple for many years. You want to say something, Mark?
Yeah, let me just elaborate here just a little bit. What's happened over the years is, as the commissioner said, volunteer, back in the 80s, I think there were 300-some thousand volunteers in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Now it's less than 50,000 across all 67 counties. So what typically has happened is municipalities that have a higher population have gone to paid drivers or paid staffing all the way around. Exeter Township, Brewer Township, a lot of the bigger Spring Township, Wyoming Borough, they put on paid staff to make up for the shortage of volunteers. Now, what the county did, which was a good thing years ago, was it created a countywide mutual aid agreement, which means anybody can go anywhere and they're covered by insurance. So that fills in for shortages. For instance, a rescue truck I know with sitting in a repair shop for a couple months. So that rescue truck at Temple Station can't go, it's not there. So the county rolls out the next new rescue truck to cover a vacancy in this sequential response apparatus. And it's like a fail-safe, if the chief's too busy putting the fire out, he can't go on radio and remember to call for somebody else to fill in the gap, so that's what happens. But the problem is, everybody's shorthanded. You know, Muhlenberg's not exempt from that. Now the commissioners have done things trying to make this better, but eventually, unfortunately, you're gonna have to bite the bullet and put paid staffing on. You're gonna have to start with paid drivers to get the volunteers, you know, buy these big trucks. To all the people. Get the equipment, but you don't have drivers to drive it.
That's
And it's
another
not just
story.
unique to Muhlenberg. it's
That's
unique-
another story, Mark. We talked about.
I
that
understand that.
before.
But the thing at that fire up there, that was just a rollout of people covering for other people that didn't come on the air. You know, that's how you got Fleetwood there probably. It's just, the system takes care of itself to get people there to do the job.
Thank you.
But the job gets done.
Judy, if I just one last piece, the county and other municipalities are aware of issues facing the volunteer fire service across the state, especially in this region. I represent Muhlenberg at Albright College in the Center for Excellence in Local Government. Before COVID ran rampant, we had a meeting called Future Firefighting in Berks County. And there were a number of volunteer firefighters, chiefs, professionally paid staff members were there, members from different municipalities. Just kind of start to outline what some of these overall issues are. So the idea at that point was to have follow-up meetings. COVID kind of put the stop to that. We just could not get enough people together. At some of the last meetings that I've been at with the CELG, I have reminded the group that this is an important issue for all municipalities. So those meetings, those discussions will start up again. I don't have a time frame. And I don't have an answer. I mean, nobody really has an in-pocket answer yet. But so, you know, everybody is aware of the issue. And we certainly are doing our part, you know, to mitigate the issue here in Muhlenberg and to take a look at it broader picture. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks, Judy. Next is Terry Schultz, Willingham Avenue.
My name's Terry Schultz, and last time I was here was November 15th, 2021. And I presented the commissioners with a excessive noise petition, and I had it signed by multiple residents, and we all live on the eastern side of Willingham Avenue. Since then, or at that time, I also brought to the attention of the commissioners that the go-to Muhlenberg website, I had actually, I guess you could say, I submitted multiple complaints about the same noise. So I'm here tonight to kind of follow up on it because I got an email from Mr. Dunkel because the company, which is Outback, is communicating with him. The individual that communicated with me partially or sent me a email is no longer with him. So I thought I would come back and kind of let people know or let the commissioners know what's going on. And through the letter I got, or the email I got through Mr. Dunkel, the company did some abatement and some corrections, but none of them satisfied them. And I'm glad that they said that because there is virtually no change in the noise at all in the back of my residence, even in the wintertime. So in saying that, I sent Mr. Dunkel some photographs of a piece of equipment that's outside their facility, which is really close to my property, that I think is a large contributor to a lot of the noise. But I also am here because the weather's going to get warmer, and I anticipate a lot more noise because they're going to use a lot more fans. They have, I believe, high-speed exhaust fans along the wall. And when I go on, it's just, there's a tremendous amount of noise. So saying that, again, I'm here for that reason. And May 2022 of this year will be 1 year from when I started these formal complaints by actually going through the Muhlenberg website and some emails. And I don't think we're any further along than we were last year. That's my opinion. And it's going to get warmer, so things are gonna, I'm not sure that things are going to get any better. So saying all that, I want to put that aside for a minute, and I do have another issue
Well,
that.
Mr. Schultz, if we can address that first issue.
Okay,
We are well aware, the entire board has been updated through Mr. Dunkel and Mr. Bobek throughout the entire process. I won't speak on behalf of the rest of the commissioners, but my understanding, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, that we have put a tremendous amount of effort into working with Alpec in order to resolve some of the situations. You may disagree. I do not. I think we did a lot, and I think we continue to try to mitigate the noise and try to do everything we can in our power to help rectify the situation. And quite frankly, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but I think Alpec has gone above and beyond and continue to try to help address any situation that arises. Is that?
You are correct. They're continuing to try to mitigate, the situation that's out there. And as you spoke of, it's been 1 year since you've been on the website and made that discussion.
correct.
And Alpec is still not completed with everything for that last email. And I have all the engineering reports and all the new maintenance that they'd like to do that their engineer pointed out to try to, make the sound levels better from the edge of their property. Obviously, they're not on your property. So what you brought to me on Friday of last week, I gave to Alpec with more of your concerns
Okay.
for that type of equipment. And they haven't gotten back to me on that yet, but everything that you and I have spoke of over the past couple of months since I've been involved in this, which is Labor Day or something of fall, they've been very good to work with it. They have a new safety board with the site who has taken your concerns now, and we'll look at everything, including the odor that you're bringing.
And my point, Mr. Schultz, being for, so the public here understands, we've been involved in trying to do everything with our
Yeah.
legislative power, I guess, Michael would be the way to put it, that to help you in your situation. And I'm not sure how much more we could have done other than to continue to do what we're doing. So, Steve, unless I missed anything, or Mike.
No, it's where we're at.
So we'll continue to try to help as best we can, that they're meeting, the codes and ordinances of Muhlenberg Township. But, if they comply with everything they need to by the law, this board has done as much as we can possibly do, just for, to set expectations. But we've been well aware of the entire process, so, unless anyone else has anything to add to that, I just.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You referred to an outside piece of equipment.
Yes.
Makes a lot of noise.
Yes.
Is that something that you think could be relocated,
Uh,
or is it permanent?
Personally, I think it could be. It sits outside. It's either a vacuum system or a dust collector, one of the two. I've forwarded some photographs, not very good because it was through the trees. But it makes a tremendous amount of noise, and it has a muffler, but the muffler is pointed directly at the homes, not up in the air or piped somewhere else. I think it could make a tremendous amount of difference, because when it turns on, I know when it goes on. In the house, I know when it goes on, even in the wintertime.
I was thinking more on the line of a mobile generator or something of that nature. It's not-
No,
This
it's,
is being fixed.
Fixed, working as a control unit on the inside, exhaust on the exterior. Their sound engineers are aware of every piece of equipment and have done analysis on every piece of equipment to the edge of the property line.
Okay.
So I was out on site, took care of the site, the lighting condition that.
yeah, that was the.
And I was with your neighbors and they said to me, hey, you hear that sound? And I'm estimating I was a football field from that facility. I'd be honest with you, Terry, I did. And you hear that sound? That's the sound that Terry's talking about. And it was no louder for me anyway at that time than standard residential air conditioning equipment. And I'm not that great at hearing, so
Okay,
that's what your neighbors, it might not be the same down your way as I've heard. So again, I made clear to Altech that as their season ramps up, or when their busy season comes up, whether it's, I'm thinking in the normal month, you have tree foliage, which will probably buffer some of that sound, but I'm not sure how much they produce, but
I hope
that
that
they
they do the same
continue to look
thing.
at the readings throughout, so you're aware that they're not completed yet. They want to get it to a reasonable level within the industry standard.
Okay, so I don't miss any of these. The point you made about the noise and what you heard and what somebody else heard. You made the attempts of have somebody come over and look at, or be there when the noise was at its peak. And we've not been able to connect at the right time. Every time you've sent somebody over or somebody stopped, the plant wasn't running.
We'll continue to build that
And,
relationship.
and we
When you
need to
get
do
to that
that.
peak, you get a hold of us, we'll come over.
Okay,
We'll verify.
so
It's not over.
If I can, I will call and say, look, this is when this happened.
We'll be more than willing to come
Okay.
out and come to you on the edge of that property line and say, hey, let's look at this and take it from there. We'll take it back.
Okay.
Like that. I promise you that.
And being here is also because it's been 1 year and I've seen very little progress or very little reduction in noise. So that's why I'm here, for that purpose. And I also, when I was here last, I had the information I had. I probably didn't go over all of it during my presentation, but I have a copy of it and I'd like to give it to the commission.
Sure.
And today's email and what I'm talking to, I'd like to give that all to you, if I can. So I'll give it to you when I'm done with this, okay? Now, the other issue that I have, and is that several times this year, the plant's running much less. And on weekends, on multiple occasions, when I'm on my property, in my driveway, I've smelled or had the odor of burnt plastic. And it was a little concerning to me because the facility wasn't running, but I know what burnt plastic smells like. And it's another point that's very concerning to me. Now, I also passed that on to Mr. Dunkel so that he could address it and see whether there's whether they have exhaust to do that, whether it's all taken care of, whether there's, I don't know. I have a little concern. So that was my second point.
I've asked concerns on Outback. I know that from the MSD sheets and the project itself, that there's no off-gassing or any type of chemicals or odors associated, maybe some odors, but there's no hazardous chemicals,
Okay,
any type of pollutants, gases associated with the project at this point.
Okay.
Do their procedure and process.
all right.
But I'll let them comment back to us.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
So that's my comments. And if I can, I'll give you those copies.
Sure. Absolutely. Okay, next on the list. Andy Haley. 11th Avenue Temple.
Hi.
Hello.
So this is a follow-up. I'm going to start by saying we don't know what a solution would be for 11th Avenue since it's paved and since those apartments are on Hay Road. I speak for not only Andy and myself, but for several of the residents and our mail carrier, because he's almost been taken down a few times. But the traffic is fast and much heavier than it's ever been since the road has been paved from Fresh Valley down to Hay Road. It is just increased in volume and they're driving very fast. And if anyone has been up there recently, there's homes in the 4100 block of 10th that grass goes all the way up to what would be 11th all the way down. And I'm guessing it was maybe snowy at the time, and because it's a single lane road, and cars may have been coming one direction and the cars going the other direction couldn't get around them, they drove through what maybe they didn't know was grass, and now it is all torn up. I don't know if anyone has seen that since, but now that it's all melted and everything, the grass is just a mess. So whoever those homeowners are now have destroyed grass up there. It's just a mud pit. So it looks really bad. If it would be me, I would not be happy. But as well as us as property owners, people are driving through our driveways to get around, and trying to find ways to maneuver, because they can't find their way down a single lane road. Traffic is very much increased, so again, we're not sure what how to solve this problem, but it's become a problem. School times are increased. Now, we know there was a counter down from us in the 4400 block. That counter was there between Christmas and New Year's when there was probably less people working. There was no school traffic because there wasn't any school. So I don't know if you have results from that. I haven't seen anything or heard anything, but it was there that week. The traffic counter. So
She did a great job, so.
Last year I mentioned making it one way, putting signs up. And we were gonna look into this. I don't know if we could do that, that would take half the traffic away. And put the signs, making sure that, I mean, you put a 34-mile-an-hour sign, they're still gonna go 50, but if you take half the traffic away, maybe.
what is the speed limit now? 25. It's 25.
Now, on Elm Avenue, they're going down 55, 60, and
It's just not enough room. I don't know. Even if it is one way, are they going to do it? Like, oh, this is one way?
it's a one-lane road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, Mr. We'll have, because we did talk about the one lane before, I remember that conversation, I don't remember why we never pursued it, or what the.
You kind of will. It's
Yeah.
his decision.
Yeah, I guess we would have to determine where the rest of the traffic that's going that way, they're going somewhere else.
I think we have to look at volume. If we don't have a fair picture of the volume from the week that was out between Christmas and New Year's, we can put the track sheet back out and get an understanding of volume and speed for that matter.
One of the unfortunate things of paving roads, unfortunately.
Right, and that was
Terrible
not
to say,
paved.
but-
Since we're there 30 years, that was not paved down MTAA and down behind those homes on 10th Avenue that go all the way up.
Yeah.
That's not really been a smooth paved area. So now that is,
Well, now that.
that's where you're gonna see the majority of the traffic down from like 42, 41 and up.
Yes, I would put it this way, I think it kind of, and unfortunately with COVID and the back burner, not as much traffic, it's now
I know,
society open up. If you give us, a month to do our due diligence, and Jim will talk with the chief, and we'll be in touch, and Jeremy and his team to see if there is a viable resolution, because I hear you, I know it's like there, I'm sure most of the board does. But I'm not sure that's an easy answer without.
I understand. I know it's low priority. There's spots that are super narrow because we have the phone pole, the utility poles, and then you get really narrow, and there's some areas without sidewalks, and then I understand all those things. I'm just,
Sure.
A couple times
No, we'll see if we can help.
the mailman was like, there's just,
They don't want
been so-
anyone to get hurt, so.
kids are gonna be out. We have a lot more kids lately.
Sure.
Using it.
So we'll be in touch, we have your contact information, so we'll see if we can.
Thank you.
Last Eva.
My sister Bridge. Also safety issues, two safety issues. Now that Amazon is back off Sofianos, the traffic is more, the volume is increased. They're speeding and they're not stopping at the stop sign all the time, especially, when they're being let out, shift change or whatever. So it's a problem, and License Bridge is a problem. So now we have two problems. Maybe you should put strips to slow people down. If people mess up their cars, maybe they won't go so fast. I don't know.
Well, yes, Eva, we are, as we all discussed individually and collectively, are really, as soon as the pipes go on. we're
Well,
going
yes.
to- Yeah, and we have the commitment of Amazon, and I don't want to speak out of turn, to help us. They've already made signage to help us with signage, it doesn't necessarily help with speeding.
Right.
But let us get that project taken care of and then get, Med Ed's holding up some of it, unfortunately. And then help drive cricket. I know honestly, I travel it every day. Well, now that it's closed, I can't. But, you know, I do know we have an officer there more than we used to.
Right, I've
Sitting
noticed
there at
that.
the thing, so we're trying to do our best to do it, but yes, with the increased traffic, Commissioner Lupia lives there and he sees it too, so we are going to invest some money, I believe the board's in agreement to try to make that area a little better because of the amount of traffic that Amazon has created, so correct me if I'm wrong, my fellow commissioner can talk about it.
Yeah, you can definitely know when there's a shift change.
Right.
And the speeding is extremely bad. I think the traffic has gotten better. Earlier in right when they first went in, we had trucks parked on Sofianos, and that has come to an end. I'm fairly certain. I'm there at all hours of the night, so, but speeding is a problem. And
Yeah.
the stop sign at the end of Sofianos, onto the license bridge is a problem. Fortunately, like Commissioner Malinowski said, there's signage ready to go, and everything's good to go. But we get that project going on, and then that adds holiness up a little bit. But it's going to be addressed.
Okay, great. Then the other safety issue is the park behind License Bridge. I know we got a grant to poison the tree of heaven, whatever those trees are. So now they're falling down. So with spring coming and people walking, it's really not safe for a while unless you're like a mountain climber to climb over some of these trees. But besides that point, a few of them are very precarious onto some of the houses, some of the elderly ladies that live a few doors down from me. I mean, they can't do anything. I mean, these trees are big and they look like they're ready to crash into somebody's property, and then just because you have insurance, you don't want to mess. And it is a safety issue.
I'm not familiar with the tree issue. Is there anyone else? Jim?
The trees were treated a handful of years ago with the Department of Ag. Some were killed and some were treated with a pesticide to try to kill the spotted lanternfly. So it's been our position that when they fall on our property, and that would be the only place that they were treated was on our property.
Yeah.
We were cleaning them up as that occurred. So we can send Eric out and have a take a look and see what we see.
Yeah, because now with spring around the corner, we hope that should be done. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to speak on the first public portion? Okay, we'll move on to the agenda. I need a motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
Seconded.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Any unfinished business? I don't believe so. Moving on to new business. A motion to approve payment of bills presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service. Seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to ratify the certification of uncollected real estate taxes as prepared by the tax collector for the First County Tax Claim Bureau.
Seconded.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise an ordinance accepting the dedication of Spinnaker Lane, Helm Lane, and Eversole Road. Second. Any questions or comments? No, this is.
This is the
Yeah, that should be. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. We did that last month.
Okay.
And a motion to adopt resolution 2022-01 authorizing the township manager to apply for the DCNR funding for trail construction.
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Noes if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. If you have your agenda in the audience, you see there's two E's, so we're not doing contract. Eliminating that one. So the motion authorizes the public works superintendent to solicit bids for the 2022 equipment rental contract.
seconded.
Questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
It's not gonna snow.
Noes, if any, ayes have it, so ordered. The motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise ordinance amending chapter 63, the police pension plan to reflect the changes to the MTPLO collective bargaining agreement.
So moved.
Seconded. Questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise ordinance 608, setting commissioners' compensation.
Where's the discussion?
For second. I'll second. Second. Commissioner Wolf. Discussion.
Did you say you wanted to discuss it?
Yeah.
I can make it.
Well, just.
It doesn't adjust anyone's compensation now. It's only for newly elected commissioners, so 2 years from now.
So everyone in the audience knows, commissioner's salary is set by the population based on the first class township code.
Correct.
If you don't know that, so we don't just come and set our own salary. And I believe if I counted hourly, it's about 2 cents an hour. Over the course of 12 months. But honestly, it's set by state statute. But in order to run, I'm sorry, I'm taking my time, I'm just sitting on. In order to run for office, you have to already know what the salary is. You can't change it after you're already on the board. It's against the law. So that's why a wonderful solicitor tells us all the time and protects us. So we're only following what new edition of the first class township code came out with. So,
Just wanted the public to hear.
yeah, sure. So just so everyone's aware. But thank you, Mike. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to authorize the township manager to remove and properly dispose of engineering and codes, finance, parks and recreation as stated on the February 2022 destruction of records request.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to accept the time extension for the Fairmont Avenue residential development.
Move.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to approve payment application number 3 to CMS in the amount of $221,094.59 for work complete on Fifth Street Phase 2 project.
Seconded.
Questions or comments?
How much left on phase 2 do we have?
They have 88 ramps torn up at Water Street now. They'll have to do, once the weather's warm enough, they'll have to come back, do the crosswalks. The CMI is following up with the signal improvements as well. Dollar amount I'd have to look into.
Oh, is there lead on the horizon there?
Oh, absolutely. I think our completion date is July at the latest this year.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to adopt the telecommunications policy 2022-1.
Seconded.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Need a motion to authorize the township manager to execute the National Opioid Settlement Participation Form.
Move.
Seconded.
Brief, quick one for the public, Michael.
There was a national settlement with the manufacturers of the drug you're on after the
That's why I trained so much.
because of the proliferation of methadone. Purdue is a big part. There were others as well. And most states participated, and now each individual municipality has to opt in or opt out. By opting in, it's going to provide additional funding to the county DA's office to combat and help control opioid abuse.
Thank you, Mr. Sally. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Noes, if any, The ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to authorize system design engineering to advertise and receive bids for the 2022 paving project.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those, if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. And we will at some point communicate that, get that list out for the public. A motion to approve the trade annexation based on the planning commission's recommendation and condition on SDE's latest review letter dated February 10th, 2022.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those, if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. Commissioner and Jim, any other new business?
I have some new business. Two pieces, but they are related. As I mentioned a little earlier, I represent Muhlenberg Township at the Center for Excellence in Local Government in their Berks Municipal Partnership Program. For those who don't know, the Berks Municipal Partnership gets together elected officials representing different areas of the county. And we talk about common issues and problems, and we try to work towards solutions. There's a lot of good things that come out of the municipal partnership. We've been kind of a model for the rest of the state, just to get some intergovernmental cooperation so that one municipality in this county isn't sitting and trying to do one thing to the detriment of another municipality. We're trying to get some more holistic plans for the county. The first piece, at the last meeting that I attended, there was a presentation by a third-party firm that the county is consulting with called Fourth Economy. And they are putting together a project development, a countywide project development. The presentation was very robust, talked a lot about infrastructure issues within the county. Questions about which townships would like to see new development, what municipalities would like to see redevelopment. We talked about issues such as housing shortages in the area and how that relates to bringing in new business. Very detailed plan. I'm trying to get a copy to share to the board. I did share with the board an email that has a link to information at the county website. And there is a questionnaire there for officials to go in and take part in. And I'm not sure if that's open up yet to the public. If it does, I'll make sure that we get some information to put up to our web. But as part of this, the Center for Excellence in Local Government, we're going to be breaking into smaller committees to try to analyze some of this plan and take some action on it. I volunteered to serve on one of these committees. I don't know which one yet, but I'm looking forward to that because it ties into something that we've been doing here in Muhlenberg, which is creating a new comprehensive plan. So the timing could not be better for Muhlenberg Township. So I'm looking forward to serving on that, and I will make sure I keep everybody up to date. The second piece was also related to Berks County. The Center for Excellence in Local Government reached out to me on another request. The county commissioners are putting another committee together to review Berks County American Rescue Plan funds for transportation projects. And what this committee will do is we will look at applications and make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners for Berks County. So I was honored to be asked to represent Muhlenberg and to participate in this committee. Again, there can be some benefits to our township directly, but looking at the bigger picture, there could be some funds for some of our bigger transportation issues. We have, obviously, if you've ever driven the West Shore bypass, that needs a lot of work, and there are actually very productive discussions taking place now regarding the return of rail service to Philadelphia. So I don't know how the application process works with the county, but I'll be finding more out about that, and I will be sure to keep the commissioners and the township residents informed. So there's no action that needs to be taken, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention that Muhlenberg has representation there. So if you have any ideas, you can certainly email me with thoughts and comments, and the board, we can certainly discuss, what some of our priorities are. Certainly Fifth Street is still a priority for us. But, it's always development along Route 61, and also the old brilliant plant. So there's a lot of things that may come out of this. I don't want to do a lot of speculation here, but I'm just happy to represent the township and the residents and be part of this with the county. The planning department, with David Hunter now working for the county, there's a lot of good things happening at the planning, in the planning department at the county. They, instead of just kind of looking and saying, well, Reading is doing one thing, Muhlenberg is doing something else, and Heidelberg and Hamburg, there's a lot of issues that are coming to the table, as we try to get a bigger piece of the pie to develop Berks County as a whole. So hopefully really good things will come of this. And again, I'm honored to take part, and I will keep you up to date.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good luck, keep us posted. I will. Any other new business? I'll do all the board appointments at once, just vote if that's okay. A motion to accept the resignation of Ann Carroll as the alternate to the zoning hearing board. A motion to accept the resignation of Marika Kunkel from the arts board. And a motion to appoint Jeff Ertu and Kathy Felker to fill the vacancies on the arts board.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Second public portion, anyone else wish to speak? Go ahead, Joe.
I just was wondering if there's any updates on the Brilliant property.
No. I guess that's the best way to put it. I mean, it was supposed to be released in April of 2020. Yeah, we've been told, Chuck, it's still in the process of being cleaned and through the appropriate DEP, EPA approvals. We have significant interest from developers who I think are just waiting for it to be released and sold. But as of this point, unfortunately, like everything else, COVID happened and it just kind of stopped. So my understanding, the last report I read, Jim, is they have all the top surface stuff taken care of.
Yeah.
But
They believe that the plume has stopped spreading underground as well.
yeah,
That's my understanding that the DEP has the documentation and are currently reviewing that now.
yeah, but we do have developers who contact us quite often, Chuck, about when it's going to be released, and it's not our property, so we try to. We've been lucky enough; they've been keeping us apprised of where they're at in the process. So we're anxious to get that back on the tax rolls. So
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, staff comments, Mr. Dunn. Joseph?
Done this month?
Jeremy?
No snow. No comments.
There you go.
It just works.
Sharon? Chief?
Yeah, just a note, total crime was down for 2021 significantly. It's also down for 2020. I wish the police department could take credit for that, but I'm sure some of it was because of COVID. People in their houses, you're not gonna have residential burglaries. Bars were closed for a period of time. You didn't have bar fights and assaults, that kind of thing. We'll take some credit, but not all of it. But the other thing is, criminals have to commit crime. So generally, we're seeing an increase in credit card fraud, generally white collar crimes, scams, phone calls trying to get money, saying that your grandson has been, arrested and we need bail money, all those typical scams that often prey on older adults too, that we have to be guarded against. But, generally it's pretty good news.
Quarantine crime.
Quarantine.
Well, thank you, Chief. All I would say is I'll give our police department a whole lot more credit than you will, because every time you turn on the news, all you hear is about crime waves all across this country. So, thank you to your leadership and the staff, and we live next to a hotbed of it, and our guys have done a good job, and this board is invested in new officers and equipment to do that. So I think you should take some credit while you can, right? Not too much.
All right, I'll go along with that. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. Jim?
Planning commission has been meeting regularly. We have the trade annexation plans to sign tonight. There's a few more that are in the pipe for the next couple of months. Other than that, nothing.
Good activity going on, right?
There is good stuff.
Good stuff coming. And do a planning commission. All right. Commissioner Lurch, you're first on the list.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out on a rainy night. It's nice to see pretty many people here. And it's also nice to hear that you're asking questions, bringing issues. I know things tend to move slowly, but things move. And I think this board can take credit to doing a fairly good job. I credit more our staff for the fast action that they take and try to keep us up to date on issues and things that are a concern to the residents. One of the reasons that I kind of speak highly of the CELG is that, a lot of people kind of look at government as, this entity that's out there just sucking up taxes and they're not really doing a whole lot of things. But if you ever had the opportunity to come to a CELG meeting and listen to some of the discussions, every municipality has issues just like we do. Some have different types of issues, but, to try to come together and brainstorm to work for the betterment of all of us, to watch elected officials who are, making stipends, especially in some of the smaller municipalities, to come out and give of their time, some are retired, some are still working full time, but to come out and do things on behalf of the residents, these are good things. So I will try to do my best to keep you up to date on those things. Hopefully, I wish the Red Eagle would do more articles in the CELG and some of the conversations that take place, but I'll do my best to keep it informed. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Imhoff.
Yeah, shout out to the Public Works crew, from the top to the bottom. I walked through the new building here the other week. That was just built. All the equipment that the township owns is in the building, undercover. And as I walked up through the trucks, there's a few days after a snowstorm, I looked back at the salt sputters and underneath the trucks. I'm pretty inspecting them pretty good. I did not see one nugget of salt anywhere. That means that these guys now, since they have a good facility to work out of, are doing 100% perfect job on the maintenance. That's well appreciated because that stuff is expensive. And it's all our money. So good job to everybody up there at Public Works.
That's all. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wolfing. Commissioner Lupia.
Second Steve's motion, but I wanted to thank Chief and Public Works had a cold but easier winter so far. Good to see y'all. Thank you.
Everybody's jinxing Jeremy.
So stop. I'm not gonna miss. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Thanks for coming out.